The Lagos International Badminton Classic has served off at the Molade Okoya Thomas Hall in the Teslim Balogun Stadium as 128 players from 13 countries, including the US and the UK, battle for the biggest prize money in Africa. The jackpot we hear is $15,000 US dollars at the championship, which is in its 7th edition and has globally been acknowledged as the best category of badminton world federation. Can all this help us to achieve or get back the likes of Peore, in the mix for Nigeria?
Well, talking about the Lagos badminton hostility, I think it's a nice one and one that have gained global attention and recognition so far, and they've remained consistent. This is the 7th edition of this showpiece, and I think for me, Lagos State is actually putting Nigeria's name on the map out there. We are having players coming in from different walks of life, UK, Canada, America, just name it. So the competition have actually gained that global recognition per se, and for me, I think I'm very much happy. But then it goes beyond being consistent in hosting this kind of massive competition in Lagos State. But then it's about using it as a platform as well to also grow the sport itself right here in the country, talking about badminton. Today we are hearing about the likes of Okoya. The big question is, when the likes of Okoya is no longer there, who are the next Okoya that is going to take up that position to continue to hold on the mantle and continue to do the country proud? So for me, that is another angle we should be looking at this year's edition, and the angle of not just hosting it and winning it, but the angle of trying to use it as a platform, as a building stone towards raising other talent here in the country that will also continue to do the nation proud when we go for global championship. Maybe you talk about the world championship or even the Olympic as well. So these are some of the things that I think if we properly put our nose on the ground to see if we can be able to fish out one or two talent, is going to be for the good of the country. But then I also admit that the Lagos State have been doing a lot in terms of sport development. You can't take that away from them.
Can't take that away from them. Of course, we hear that some of the lovely players like Pablo Abian of Spain defeated his opponent in a tension-soaked men's singles final to cut home the 6th edition of the Classic last year. So this year, it is invasion of Indians, as 22 players from that badminton stronghold are already at the Classic. And that's one thing a lot of us talk about. When you host this Classic, the best of the best won't feel that it's an opportunity for them to get, like when you host marathon, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians will always feel that, okay, they have the advantage. So badminton, China and Indian, they are well known for that. And so they like to come to Lagos to enjoy themselves and just play along.
Yeah, I think for me, India, they've actually shown that consistency in terms of taking part in some major global competition or championship, which is an improvement of what we've been used in terms of their sport activity over the years. This time around, they've actually sent a delegation of 22 players, and that is to tell you how excited they are. In fact, they have hit the country already, very much in an exciting mood for them out there. And the Chinese, the UK, last edition was won by a Brazilian, and this time around they've also hit the country as well. So for me, I think it's a massive one. One sport that you may want to say, yes, it's not popularly known in this part of the climb, but then I think we are making headway. Don't also forget, we can also use this as an experience to learn from the best hand, like the people of China coming right here, the Indians also. We can also take a cue from what they are doing and also learn from their own stock of experience as well going forward. So I tell you, it's going to be a very massive one, and I'm very, very excited to see a lot of people, a lot of players from different walks of life, coming down here to assemble in Nigeria, especially in Lagos State. It even goes further to add more income to the state as well. Talking about foreign direct exchange, because most of these players coming from different walks of life, of course, they need to have a place to lay their head. True. Meaning that they are going to lodge. They will not have to put something on their stomach, meaning that they are going to eat food. They will not have to buy one or two. So there is a whole lot of economical benefits that comes with this very one.
And of course, it also brings sponsorship. When sponsors know that, okay, part of their investment is global recognition.
Yeah.
Because those athletes they are coming from a federation, they will publicize the program.
True.
The sponsor's name will be there. So
True.
a lot of commercial value attached to some of these things, and it's very lovely. All right, let's move away from that now, and let's talk about other activities where Bayelsa State athletes yesterday departed the Enagua for Benin City, Edo State, for the zonal elimination of the 8th National Youth Games in Asaba Delta State. Team Bayelsa, led by Director of Sports, Brave Man Wodi, arrived at Benin, the Edo State capital, with about 242 contingent, comparing athletes, comprising of athletes, coaches, and officials. Bayelsa will compete in 8 sports, which includes football, handball, volleyball, beach volleyball, hockey, basketball, abula, and rugby. The elimination for the team sports in the 8th National Youth Games will commence on the 28th of August through the 1st of September this year. Mike, what the contingent Bayelsa will be taking to this elimination series?
Yeah, I think for me, if you take a look at the contingent out there, it's a statement of intent from the Bayelsa State, Sport Ministry. They've actually been doing pretty well in terms of sport development for me, and it is no surprise because when you have people that truly understand the workings of sport, when you have the right people at the right end of affair, they will definitely channel their energy towards, building on a positive sport development right there in the state. And for Bayelsa State, over the years, they are known for proper sport planning, proper sport development. You can't mention 2 or 3 states right here in the country that is intentional about sport development without also including the name of Bayelsa State in that regard. And of course, that is why you've seen them doing pretty well in terms of any championship being organized right here in the country. Talk about Bayelsa State, you mentioned Lagos State. These are some of the states that you will say, yes, they've been very consistent in terms of sport development. And this time around, you saw their last outing. It wasn't a bad one. They finished in the 2nd or 3rd position, if I'm not mistaken. So this time around, they've actually started preparation 3 weeks ago, and that is to tell you how ready and how prepared they are for this very one. So give it up to Bayelsa State in terms of sport development. And one man who fully understands the workings, like I said, talking about their sport commissioner, Daniel Igali, who truly, for me, understand what it means to be a sport commissioner. He's been working around the clock to ensure that at least he properly repositioned the sport ministry of the state to get to that high height where Bayelsa State will become the peak or the best team in terms of sport development right here in the country. So give it up to Bayelsa State.
Give it up to Bayelsa State, and of course, with the way they are going about it, it's very lovely. Let's talk about the Paralympics now, and of course, at the Paralympic opening ceremony we saw yesterday in glamorous fashion, and Team Nigeria did not do so bad when it comes to the colorful art in participating in that particular one. We had 23 Paralympic para athletes, in the midst, and we saw how joyous it was all over, Mike.
Yeah, I think for me, I was excited as well seeing the opening ceremony, more like a replica of what we saw in the just concluded Paris Olympic game, talking about the proper able-bodied Olympic game out there. So they actually had to build on that. You listen to the local organizing committee talking tough. They say that they want to also make it a very colorful one and also use the platform as a way of trying to showcase their folklore in terms of their cultural heritage. So take a look at what we saw in the opening ceremony, more like an artistical documentation of idealism in realism in terms of the way they went about displaying their cultural heritage and folklore. So for me, very impressive. And also we need to also give kudos to the organizers, because in terms of security, don't forget, before the proper Olympic game took place, there were security threats here and there, but then they were able to surmount some of those security challenges, and it was very, very successful. This year's Paralympic edition is going to even be more glamorous. Why? Because there are certain indices that must be factored into this very one. One, last edition, 2021, I mean, no fans was allowed into the stadium, courtesy of the COVID-19 pandemic, where people were, advised to stay at their home. So it was more like the players themselves. Some players couldn't even take part in it. Why? Because some of them failed to meet up with a COVID-19 jab. So as at then, they were prevented. So this time around, we are going to have, the home fans coming out in their number to also be part and parcel of this one. And this is going to make, this year's, activity even more colorful. Having the fans, having the crowd around the stadium even gives more color, more vibe to the competition. So I tell you, it was an exciting opening ceremony where we saw a whole lot of display of different cultural heritage of the French, authority out there.
Beautiful one there, and of course we hope that Team Nigeria can get us medals. Since 1952, we have participated. It is the 17th edition of the Paralympics, and of course 4,000 athletes, para-athletes participating in this one. It calls for, a huge applause when it comes to the participating level. Mike, it's always a joyous moment, and I tell you for sure that it takes a whole lot to, build on this.
Sure, and of course, you trust that Team Nigeria will certainly surpass their last edition, where they actually amassed a total number of 10 silverware. That included about 4 gold. This time around, looking at the poor outing of their everybody counterpart, where they went out there, with a sum of 9 billion, but yet they were unable to win anything. So out of the 12 billion budgeted by the federal government, 3 billion went for the Paralympians to also help them prepare for this very one. So, and they have given their word that they say that they are going to wipe away the shame, brought upon the nation by their everybody counterpart. So if there's anything to go by, and if there's anything to go by the positive record that we have had in the past, I think I tell you they are properly primed and positioned to go out there and do exploit. And we want to ask some areas of our comparative advantage in this one. In powerlifting, be rest assured that at least we're going to get something out there. In terms of table tennis, we'll be rest assured that we're going to get a positive result out there, because these are some of the areas that we are very grounded that we can as well, build on. And I tell you, it's going to be an impressive one, because taking a look at some of the voices, the key players in the camp for Team Nigeria, they are very, very excited. They are brimming with confidence, ready to go and do us proud out there. So all things being equal, I think I'm very hopeful that this time around we are even going to surpass our previous record. Don't also forget that this year's edition, the sum of $15,000 has been marked for any athletes or any Olympian that get to win gold medal. Then for silver, you go home with the sum of $10,000, and bronze, you go home with $5,000, which is, a contrast, a clear contrast from what we saw in the before. Even the everybody counterpart who was promised the sum of $5,000 if you get to win gold medal, $3,000 and $2,000. So looking at it in terms of the welfare and in terms of the motivating package that have been also put down for them, I think it will also help them to even do better.
To help them to do better, and of course this is also coming at the back heel of the criticism method on the sports ministry. For spending so much and delivering little or nothing, at the Paralympics in terms of results. But let's see how far it goes. And one thing I can show you for sure is that Nigeria is, we're hopeful that at least one medal. Mike, we're not asking for too much, at least just one medal.
I think if you take a look at the record of Nigeria, everybody counterpart, the sport ministry, they actually, envisioned or dreamed about 12 medals, because we were taking part in 12 different disciplines. But then, not even a half medal came out of that very one. So it's better to remain silent about the number of medals that will be attained this time.
Thinking that they're going to get anyone.
Projection at the end of it all, we don't end up.
Because Nigerians will hold you by your word, and when you don't deliver, it's going to be a bigger challenge. All right, let's take you through now to the US Open. Even if we saw our basketball team on the 18 boys and girls, category of the FIBA, they've now gone to South Africa to prepare for the competition. And of course, these are the dream D Tigers and the D Tigers. And Mike, it's good to catch them young. And with the way these ladies are going, they look like the maturity is already there. They look like a team that will take over the continent soon.
Yeah, taking a look at their facial expression and their outfit, they look very good. But then it goes beyond the outlook of a player. It's about what is embedded in you. Can you be able to, deliver on the big stage in terms of the ding-dong game out there? But for me, if you take a look at their track record as well in the past, they've been actually very consistent. And I think the reason why it looks as though they have not properly conquered the continent of Africa is about poor preparation, poor planning, because, we are good at just, rallying around at the nick of time just to make sure we assemble some of these great players. We don't take out time to do a long-term planning. But I tell you, if you take a look at what they've done in the past, I'm very sure that they are going to at least achieve our aim. Not just to go out there and represent us, but going out there to pick one of the tickets which will enable us to, take part in the World Championship under 19, because that is a major focus. So all things being equal, well, I'm wishing them well to go out there and do exploit, because don't forget, the Amakamuras of tomorrow, the Ezine Kano of tomorrow, this is where we get to catch them. If you allow them pass through the rank, allow them to grow, it gives them that vibe and that confidence that to say, okay, we have passed through the rank, therefore we understand what the task is, and we know how to, maneuver some challenges and get to that point that we are heading to. Unlike just waking up one day and begin to select players from different angles to assemble them, it will be very difficult for them to blend. It will be very difficult for them to synergize, because they have not been, together consistently. But when you are seeing players passing through the rank from under 14 to under 15, from under 15 to under 18, from under 18 to under 19, they get to the national team, they blend more. Just a wink of an eye, you definitely know what your counterpart want to do. So that is it for me. So this is what we should build on. We shouldn't just build about on the gain of going out there to win the medal, but going out there to build a very solid team that will have such synergy that can be able to translate them to the senior national team when the big names, leaves the stage. We can probably possibly beat our heart and say, yes, we have capable replacement that is going to take up the mantle of leadership from these big names.
And of course, it's very, very important that we also look out for how the young lads will be doing. But certainly, we hope that they will continue to win. Let's before we wrap up the first part of the show, let's move over now to the US Open.